and welcome back to Stitchcraft. My name is Mary, the Stitchcraft Queen, and today is Wednesday, March 5th of 2025. Crazy, we're already in March. February flew through so fast. I also decided today, so I remembered that because I swapped over from doing Instagram Shorts, probably not everybody that's going to see these will know my past whips that I still have in the whip graveyard. So today, I will go over my whips that I've been working on this week, and then I will go over all of my whips that I currently have, which I'm very proud of myself. Last year, I worked really hard to get a lot of them off the needles because I had, cast-on-itis where I just cast on a bunch of projects. But I worked really hard last year, especially before our move, to whittle those down. And I got a lot of them off the needles and finished, so very proud of that. But I still do have a few remaining, quite a few that will probably stay sleeping for a while. But it is what it is. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. The first project I'll talk about is Emmer's socks. So this is the one I'm currently working on. They're both past the heel and the decreases for the heel, and I'm now onto the foot. So you can see I only did like 4 rows on this one. It was while we were playing video games with friends and we were waiting for everyone to load in. I had this project handy, so I picked it up because it's an easy one to pick up and set down. There's no pattern, no repeats. It's just straight stockinette. So that was an easy project. This one on my list of whips, I'd like to get it done eventually, like this year eventually, but it's not like super high on the priority list. It is the next sock that I do want to get done though, and I'll talk about that once I'm done with going over all my whips. But my husband does want a pair of socks eventually from me, so we'll be working on that more probably once I'm caught up on a couple other things. Next whip, we'll go over this one because it's right here, is my row 1 blanket, and it's looking a little different than the last time you saw it. So here, let me get to where I was. So I was at this little chicken, and so I did all of these to, I believe it's your right, well it's my right, to this side of it. So I did all of those. I finished up, I believe that was the last square of the previous pack I was on. And so I finished all of that up. And you can see the last color is now on our, this is try-on, like a try-on band, but it works really well when you need to like save a bunch of stitches at random points, because here at the end of every row, the pattern calls for you not to cast off. I guess it makes doing, I think it's an I-cord border, makes it a little easier at the end, so you don't cast them off, so you put them, it says to put it on a cable or string. I just did the try-on because it's really easy to slide stitches from your needle onto the try-on cable. They make it that way so that trying on your garments is nice and easy. And then I worked on this one a lot this week. So not only did I do that pack, but I did this pack as well. So I did 2.5 packs. This one, I forgot the name. I believe it was like what was it? It's like the Magnificent Pearl or something. All of it's on my Ravelry page. I do update it once I'm done with the pack. I take the little, I'll show you what they look like. They're these cute little brown things that they put around each of the yarns. So I take those and I put all the dyer and then the color names. I don't put the order of the colors, just the dyer and then the colored names. And then I started the next pack. And the next pack is by Muse 2320 Fiber Co. And I just started, this is the first color of that pack. So that is awesome. I have, now I have this one plus, I believe it's 3. So we're getting close. Last week I had 5. Oh, out of focus. There we go. Last week I had 5 plus the one that was supposed to come in the mail. So that one, we're working hard on it. Oh, and this bag is by not Malia. I can't think of it. 5 to 6. There we go. 5 to 6 organized stitches. I love her stuff. Her work's really awesome. Okay, next project. So I guess I'll do this part first. So I finally last week took at least my husband's sweater. So this is my husband's fisherman's cardigan. as you can see, it's like mostly done now. And I seamed the two sides on. And then above that, I did the pockets. So there's like, you can actually have a pocket now. So all that's left on his cardigan is to finish the sleeves and then attach them. And then to do the button band. So really close. We're over halfway done. And then I'll get to the sleeve in just a second. So I was really proud of myself when I had the energy to at least do this last Wednesday. Because this has been a project that has been kind of in a weird state. I worked on it like all through, I think it was the end of December and January. And then like at the end of January, when I got to the sleeves, I was like, I'm done with this for now. So I put it away for a long time. And I also have, so you have like 13 stitches right here. That's going to be the button band. The original pattern calls for you to just knit a long strip and then go back and sew it up to the edge. I do not want to do that, so I'm going to try doing like the last stitch like a slip knit or knit two together to attach it that way. That way I don't have to go back and attach it, but we'll see how that works out. I think it will be fine. It should be fine, but we'll see. But that way, you know, you still have the same number of stitches, and then I don't have to go back and sew the whole thing on. And this is the button side, so there is one buttonhole right there. So that's that big piece that I did. Yeah, in the morning I did one side, I did both sides attached in one pocket, and then I was like, you know, I think I'm done with this. In the afternoon I came back, because I was like, no, I want to finish it. Okay, and then I'm really proud of myself, because this week I kept going back and forth with this over whether I wanted to just put it away for like a good 6 months again and not work on it. But at the end of the day, I was like, no, this is like the really, really long lingering whip that I really want to get done. Like, I'm really close. I don't want to be on Sleeve Island on this one. Because if I come back to it, I know I'll be lost in the pattern, because the sleeves, at least, I'm doing the sleeves differently than the pattern. I'm doing it in the round, as you can see, so that I don't have to go back and seam it up. It's just like, it's just one more motivating thing for me to do one less seam at the end. But because of that, it's a little bit harder to tell which side I'm on. Because instead of it being just a back and forth repeat, it is now a 2 round repeat, which sounds like it shouldn't be complicated. But because every round has the same 2 purls, it's just the knit stitch that's different. At least like where you put it, it's either knit one below or just knit one. It makes it a little more difficult to figure that out. And then of course, which number in the round of the repeat I'm on. But yeah, I picked the sleeve up last night. But because of all those reasons, I decided, let's just get it out and work on it for a little bit a day and see how I feel about it. So this is my husband's. I'm doing his first because his is the bigger one. I have to increase to over 100 stitches, which is double the amount of stitches that was on the front panel. So that's nice. I love that. I don't actually, but I did some calculations, and once I am all done with the increases, oh hi baby, I should have only about like 4 or 5 inches left until like I'm at where I need to start doing the cast offs and then knitting back and forth for the raglan. And so that gave me a little bit of motivation, you know, okay, once I'm done with all these dumb increases and I am at 100 stitches plus, I won't have that much knitting to do. So that was nice to know. So yeah, here's his little, he has a little Luke Skywalker. I do want to get, I think that, because I got this from Simply Serving, I believe she has a Han Solo, and I'd rather do that than Luke, because mine's Leia. But that's where I started, was right about there. So yeah, I knit, it's like 3 to 4 inches, and it was only, I think it was 4 repeats, which is 6 rows. And so overall, not bad. You can see those are the increases. They look pretty cool. There's like one right here, It's the yarn. The yarn like got really fluffy for some reason. It does that in some places on this yarn. It usually doesn't show, but of course right there. It's right on one of the increases, so it's a little more showy. But I do like how the increases look. It'll be on the bottom of the sweater anyways. I was also worried that it looks too balloony because it looks very balloony right now. So I had him try it on and it looked fine on him, so I'm not that worried about it. I was also worried about how big it's getting because I don't want it to be like super oversized on him. We did measure before I picked which size he would be. And this one too, it's going to be fine. He has really long, lengthy arms, so I am a little nervous. I'm going to have to maybe go a little longer on those. But overall, I am fairly enjoying this again. It's not too bad. So yeah, that one I will continue to work on. Usually I've been doing it at night. I was just doing about one repeat for the last, 3 nights, and then last night I decided to do 2. The reason being is usually after one repeat, because of the thick yarn and the tiny needles for the round knitting, typically it starts to hurt my hands. It's weird because usually it's the top of this pointer finger that will start hurting when I've been knitting too much. But for some reason with this, it's like the whole middle finger down into like my hand bone that starts to like really hurt. And one, I don't want to have to like stop knitting because I pushed myself too hard. And 2, because of the nature of my job where I'm always using my hands, especially my left hand. I don't want to like push myself that far. But last night my hand felt fine, so I kept knitting. And then it finally started to hurt after about 2, so maybe it's just working up to that. I don't know. We'll see this week. But overall, enjoying this. This bag is another 5 to 6. I love it. It was their Christmas collection. Okay. And that was my 3 whips this week. So now I want to get into my other whips. I guess we can start with the most recent that you guys have definitely seen on here. And that is my Sweet Shop blanket. That's the wrong side. This is the right side. There we go. So this is my Sweet Shop blanket. I originally wanted to make this blanket with my Advent. This is one of the Advent colors right there. And I believe another one is this blue. So last year I got, not last year, 2 years ago now. Crazy, 2 Christmases ago. I got an Advent from Mountain State Stitches? Mountain Top Yarn, that's what it is. And it was a, what was it? Like a gem crystal themed Advent. So they had some really cool colors. This orange is also one of them too. So really fun, really cool. I got it like last minute because most of the other Advents I wanted had sold out. But my other issue is I wanted a huge blanket out of this. If you know me, you know I love giant blankets I can just like wrap myself up in. Now I get to share them with my husband and I don't have to worry about him taking all of the blanket, which is something he likes to do. So really big blankets are great for us. But I didn't have enough with just the Advent. So I went through, because I had a ton of single skeins, a lot of which I knew I wasn't really going to use up very quickly. A couple of them I did buy, like these 2 I bought when I wasn't thinking about making it that big. But I ended up just using a bunch of those random skeins. Like this one I originally got for socks, and then I didn't want to make socks out of it anymore. This one I got for an MCAL, and now I'm not doing any more of the MCALs. And so it's a good way just to use up a bunch of yarn, and a bunch of like random minis, because sometimes dyers will throw in like random minis. So yeah, that one, this is going to be a very long-term project. Supposedly, according to my math, if my math is correct, I'm going to have over 300 squares, and I'm not even, what is this? I think this is 15 of them or something. I have this one and I think 2 more until I'm at my desired width or length. This now, like the length of it covers, we have a queen size bed, it covers the length or the width of the bed. So we're almost to where I want it, which is king size. So there's that one. And then the main color, I will have to get a lot more of. I only have, what is that, 4 there, and then 1 more there. Skeins, this is Dusk, I believe is the colorway, from 29 Bridges. I'll probably just order this in like batches of 5 or 6. I'm not super worried about color matching exactly because it is a huge blanket. So I don't think people will really be that concerned about it, but there is that one. I'll do my other blanket whip now. A lot of you probably don't even know this is a thing. Hold on, I think I have my, yeah. So this was one of the first knitting projects I actually bought. So let's see, it's 2025. It would have been 2023. When I first got into knitting, I found there's these cute kits you can get from Annie's Kit Club. And this one is, I believe it's the Dublin, like, knitted quilt. I wanted to learn how to do cables, so this is actually my first cable ever. I'm really proud with how it turned out. Yes, it's not 100% perfect, but it is pretty close. And then they teach a bunch of cool stitches. The other thing that I loved, well, one, it taught me how to pick up stitches, which I love. This is not block 2, so it's definitely not perfect. But it taught me how to pick up stitches. It taught me cables. It taught me how to read patterns for the most part. And then lastly, it taught me how to do the mattress stitch, which has come in such handy because that's like the only seam I use on sweaters. Because it makes this nice, this is the wrong side, it makes this nice, neat little edge. And you were able to work it from the front, and then it, the selvage edge is on the back, which is really, really cool. So this is the only square that I did. I have all the yarn and all the patterns now because it's been so long, and it was like a monthly club, so they sent it monthly. I am on the second, you can see all the yarn, oh my goodness. I was really good, and I wove in all of the ends on this one. But you can see all of the yarn hanging off of it. I'm probably going to do what I do now, and instead of totally weaving in all of the yarn, probably just going to tie knots. I know most people don't like that. I do, though. It's quick and easy. But yeah, so this was a really easy... Hold on. No, yeah. This one, I thought the cable was different. Maybe I was wrong, though. It's more of a really long spirally cable instead of like a wider, thicker cable, I guess. And then, yeah, I believe this was a broken rib, and this was like a puff popcorny stitch. And on this one, it looks like we're using the purl bumps to make, it's kind of hard to see, but we're going to make like a diamond shape. So yeah, this is square 2. You can see too, I'm even still using my plastic. I use these in crochet because they're awesome. You can see them easy and take them on and off, at least on my amigurumi. But that is this. I'm even still using, look at my needles, the Prim ones. This project, first set of needles I broke, one of the tips on this broke off, and then I went and bought a new one, and then I decided, because there was another project I work on, the tip broke off because these are plastic. But I decided to get metal ones after this. So that's a little bit of, I guess, Stitchcraft Queen lore. There is where I got my metal needles. But yeah, this one's going to be in the whip graveyard for a long time. I have absolutely no desire to work on it right now. Eventually, I will do it. Probably like next year is probably when I want to use up some of those random, clubs that I got at the very beginning of my knitting. But yeah, okay, let me see which one is, yes, this one, okay. One second. Okay. So, for this next one, it takes a little bit of explaining to do. So, it goes along with the socks. So, this is technically my second sock cast on. This is my first in the round one, too. I'll just show a little bit. Because, I'll show this one. So I completed this sock. And there's a reason it still has these on. And I did this on mainly DPNs until I got through the gusset and heel flap, and then I used circular needles, 9-inch circulars. I didn't love the fit of this sock, and I don't love that they're on the heel flap and gusset. There's like these lines because you have to pick up stitches, but how you pick them up is usually you'll pick up both like ends of it. I'm pretty sure this pattern called for just one end of it, which was kind of bizarre, but it made those long lines, and it's fine, but it's just something that bugs me. But yeah, this one, you can also see a couple of the ladders. Like right there from my DPN, there's a ladder, and there's another one. And on the back, there's the last one right there. So there's the ladders. This was like my very, very first sock that I made. I'm so proud of it. I just don't love how it fits. So that's why I started doing the Vanilla's the New Black pattern, because that was one I saw at around the time. But I started a second one. I was going to do a second pair because I have enough yarn in this color. And yeah, I even started doing a 2x2 rib. On this one, I have a 1x1 rib. I don't even know how many. Yeah, I don't even know how many rounds I have. I'd have to count. But yeah, this sock is very, very low on my to-do list. I even still have my DPNs in there. That's hilarious. But yeah, very low on my to-do list. It would be after I did this sock. And honestly, I'll probably just frog it and use this yarn elsewhere. Because I have other sock yarns that I would much rather like to knit out of right now. But that's this one. I'll probably end up frogging it because there's other socks I'd rather knit on. Okay, and then my last one, my last whip, right? Is that all of them? That's all of them. Okay. So the other squares are in baggies because I am organizing them. But here's one little square. This is my Battenberg blanket. I forgot the name of the designer of the pattern. But these are my little squares. This is my Beatles Battenberg blanket. This is, yep, I remember the name. It's Across the Universe. Like my hook is still even inside. How funny. But yeah, this is Across the Universe by Wool and Vinyl. They released, it was like 2 years ago again, a Beatles collection. And I'm a huge Beatles fan. Every month I'm like, whoops, I am within their top like 0.25% of listeners, and or Paul McCartney as well. Either one of them, I'm always within the top like 0.25% of listeners. But being the big Beatles fan I wanted a blanket out of Beatles inspired yarn. So I got the whole collection. Originally the plan was so this is another king size blanket. It's going to take forever because these squares are tiny. Each square takes anywhere between, I think it's like 5 and 10 minutes to make. I was making some decent progress on it when I was back in Colorado because I would, my route along the way to work had so many stoplights. So whenever I was at a stoplight, I would just like get in a couple stitches and I would make like, about 2 squares there and back. And then I would work on them during my lunch break. So I'd get a couple squares done at the beginning of the day, a couple at lunch, and then a couple on my way home. So I was at least making like consistent progress. And then I swapped over to my hats that I knit for my family for Christmas. And then after that, I did my Disney socks, which we'll talk about those in a second. And so that was kind of how this like went out of my working stash, I guess. This one is still high on the list, and the plan has changed because the original plan was to do all of the colored squares out of the colored wool and vinyl, and then the other, the other squares, because this pattern, it looks like a quilt. You have colored squares, and then attaching all of them is like a neutral square, and they make like a, what am I thinking, like a checkered look. Yeah, like a checkerboard look. Really, really pretty pattern. And so my plan was to order, like, I think I needed 29 skeins of Blackbird was the colorway. And that color obviously is black for Blackbird. But I recently, this year, Sunday Fiber has come out with a, I still have to decide 100%. But they have come out with a Beatles collection of their own. And they have, each month it's a solid color and a like variegated or a speckled colorway. And so by the end of the year, I'll have 24 of those skeins. I have 29 of the woolen vinyl, so we're only about 5 skeins off. But what I might end up doing is, and it would look a lot more, and this is the reason why I would not want to do this, is it will look a lot more scrappy. And this is a blanket I don't necessarily want looking scrappy. And so that's where I'm still kind of on the fence about whether I actually want this or if I want to make 2 separate blankets. But I might still just do the Blackbird as the joining instead of the Sunday Fiber random colors as the joining. But we'll see when we get there. Step 1 is to make all of the colored skeins, no matter what, into squares. And I've done, I believe it's 3 total, and this is the 4th one. It just takes a long time. I was at one point working on, it was for like 2, I did this for 2 skeins, or for a whole week I would just work on that skein. And I was crocheting for like, it was like 2 hours a day to get done 10 to 11 squares. Because each skein makes about 66 to 69 squares, somewhere in there. And so that was a lot of crocheting, which was fine, but it was like I was crocheting every second of the day, and I was still, at the end of the day, crocheting for hours, which is fine, because I enjoyed it. It was fun, but then after 2 of them, I'm like, okay, I kind of want to do other projects. But yeah, those are all of my current projects. Here, let me grabbing my crochet and knitting journal. Because when I started getting these whips in line, yeah, I just finished this one, I believe. Nope, I lied. It was after the hats. Yes, this is the first one that I got off the Needles long-term project. It was my Granny Ripple Stripe blanket. And all of these are on the Ravelry page, so you can see them better. I just like keeping this cute journal. Another one I did was the Wooble Spice of Life. I like it because I can have a fun little pom-pom so I can see like all the actual colors. The next one was the Christmas blanket. And my Christmas cardigan, because I had cast that on at a random time. And then finally the Disney socks. Those were the ones that I really played catch up on because I had so many random whips. So yeah, last year was kind of the year of catch up, and the beginning of this year will be as well. The big one right now is my fisherman's cardigan, and then I am playing catch up on my row 1 blanket so that once I'm caught up, each month I'll just be able to take a week and add it and then set it back aside. So that will be pretty easy and not take up a ton of my time. And then after that, it's probably the Sweet Shop and my Beatles blanket, along with, I think, my husband's socks I'd like to get done. But once those 2 big ones are done, then that only leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects total on the needles, which is big for me. And then 2 of them I'll be actively working on. So that's really only 3 that will be kind of in a weird limbo. Hold on, I think I counted wrong. 2, 3, 4. No, it's only 4 that will be. No, 5, because this is one. Oh, but that counts. So there'll only be 3 that will be in a weird limbo. Right. This one. And that one. Where am I getting a double count? I don't know. Oh well. Oh, that's because that's the row 1 blanket. There's only 4, so it'll be 2 that will be in a weird limbo. There we go. Once cardigan and socks are done and row 1 is caught up on. So those are kind of the 3 priorities for right now. However, I am getting the itch to start casting on because I don't know if you remember. I don't think you do because I didn't show you because it was on Instagram. But I have like 19 sweater quantities for a straw cardigan that I was supposed to cast on January 1st. If the move hadn't happened, this was the plan. It was to finish this by January 1st, and I was on track to do it, and then the move happened, and there was a lot that I had to do that took my attention away from knitting. And then January 1st, all my yarn was packed, and so I couldn't access it. But the plan was to finish the fisherman cardigans, cast on all the sweaters on January 1st, and then I was just going to work on them throughout the year, along with Sweet Shop blanket, Beatles blanket, and row 1 blanket. I also have my Polka Dot Creek yarn blanket that I was going to work on, but this year I think I might be putting that one aside for right now at least. Okay, other yarny thing that I want to talk about. Sorry, this has been a very long and rambly episode, but I wanted to catch everyone up on my random moves. Okay, so last night for the first time, I wore my Disney socks. Look at them, they're so fun. They stayed up pretty well, but they do slide down, and that's the thing I don't like. I want them to be a tighter hug to my foot. And I think part of that is, well, number one, when I wet blocked these, and I think I stretched the ribbing out, which I have done before on a sweater. Here, I'll actually take the other one off. Hold on. That way I'm not holding my foot up all weird. I've done that on a sweater before where I wet blocked and the ribbing stretched out. So, I mean, you can see right here the ribbing, it's floppy, it's not going back. Part of that was, I think, wet blocking it and then throwing it right onto the sock blocker. I think that stretched that part out. The heel also is ribbed, and that's supposed to hold your heel a little bit more. So I think that also stretched that out a little bit as well. Overall, though, it fits really well. They're really warm because they're made of wool, which I love, especially for winter. And I wore them at night because I move around a lot, not when I'm sleeping, but like before bed, essentially. But they fit really well. I do think, though, what I will do next time is I am just going to do the ribbing and then go right into the heel because I want them to be this height. And they are a little bit too tall. It's hard because they're not on the blocker, but you can see they're a little bit too tall with everything lined up. And that's because on this one, when you knit the heel, you're not stopping knitting this part over here. Because when you do a heel flap and gusset, you knit back and forth for the heel, and then you pick up stitches and continue in the round. So you stop knitting on the front of it. But here, because you are knitting still in the round when you're doing the heel, it makes it so that the whole sock is just, it grows a little bit. It's a little taller. So that's what I need to fix. And then next time I'll probably still wet block, but then I will lay them out with not with this out. I will make sure this is nice and still scrunchy. And then hopefully it will fit better. So now that I've worn these, I will probably be washing them. Yeah, they need a little wash. And then we will see how it goes. I have heard from certain creators that they just throw them in the washing machine on like the delicate cycle. I'm very hesitant to do that. I do trust that my ends are woven in. Most of them, again, they're little knots. I didn't even fill the knots, so totally fine. But I'm also just very hesitant to do that because I do not want them ruined. Yeah, because they were a very fun and long-term project. Oh, that's another thing too I was going to talk socks about. So yeah, so number one priority is my husband's socks. But then after that, I don't think I'm going to put this this yarn away yet. And that is because I want to knit, I have enough yarn to knit a second pair of socks, especially if I'm getting rid of these 3 stripes essentially. It's 10 rows. I will have plenty to make another pair of socks. So I think I would like to make another pair. I'll reverse the colors though. I'll do a yellow, what is it? A yellow cuff, and then a blue heel flap and toe. So yeah, that will be fun. But that will be a lot longer down the line, but I'm still going to just keep it all in this nice bag so that when I'm ready, I can just grab it. Okay, so that's my socks and how they're fitting. I still think though, for my first official pair of socks, very, very, very well done. And I'm very proud of how they turned out. So that's been a lot of fun. Like overall, they fit really well. But obviously, because my foot is different from everyone else's, and I like my socks fitting differently, there's going to be some tweaks. Okay, let's get on to some fun things. The Yarny Things now. I believe I just have, whoop, my bad. There's no earthquake, I promise. Yeah, I think this is it. Okay, so this week, my row 1 yarn came, so that's why I now have 3 packs. After I finish attaching the one I'm currently working on, I have 3 packs left. And this one is the Yarnsmith, is the dyer. And I like that they are a little bit brighter because a couple of, I guess I can show you the 2 packs I have left. They're a little bit more like kind of mutant colors, which this one's Poppy and Spruce, and I was saving it for last. I was random pulling, and it just so happened that most of the bright colors got pulled first, but I was also kind of saving Poppy and Spruce for last because I already know that I love her fibers. And then this one is Salty Blonde. This is the other Colorado dyer, and it just so happened that those 2 were the 2 left. And then I'm grateful that we have some more bright colors again in this pack, so that will be fun. I'll probably attach that one on the next row, have kind of a muted row, and then that one. And then, as always, they give a cute little stitch marker. This one says, I heart knitting, which I love. I will use that very frequently. I think that's it for that. All right, what did we watch? Oh, we started watching, so my husband already watched the first season of Severance, but he wanted me to watch it, so we started watching that last night. It was only the first episode. Pretty decent. Everyone's really weird on there, but he said it was supposed to also be like a hot take on Scientology, which we love because Scientology is weird. And so that was kind of fun to see that. But I don't know, we'll see where it goes. What else did we watch? I don't think we watched any movies this week, actually. We were going to watch a couple of like the Grammy nominees and movies, but now they're all like, instead of $2 to rent, they're all like $10 to rent. So we're gonna wait, I think, until those prices go down a little bit. But yeah, tonight we're going to with my brother and cousin, actually, because like really the only people in the family that like sushi besides my uncle and then one of my other cousins. The first place I ever tried sushi at, and I haven't been back since, but it's still my cousin's like favorite sushi restaurant, and so we're gonna go tonight with him and my brother. I'm really excited for that. Oh, and then for like dinner we've been making, what is it? Like pseudo pad thai, essentially. We've just been making noodles, whatever noodles we have. Tomorrow will be ramen noodles again, and then we pre like stir fried, I guess, some scallions and or not shallots, the mini onions, those things. Yeah, I think they're shallots because scallions are the green onions. And then a red pepper and some grated carrots. We like pre-stir fried all that so that they're already cooked. Yeah, and then we just heat that up and then cook the noodles and then add cilantro, lime, peanuts, and what was the other one? There's one more thing we added now. Oh, and scallions or green onions. And it tastes really like pad thai. We add sriracha sauce and some teriyaki sauce. And yeah, it tastes really fresh and yummy, and it's really healthy. So we've been enjoying that a lot recently. I think that's it though, really, what we have done this week. We had kind of a lazy weekend again. We had like dinner at a family party, but that was really it. Pretty lazy weekend besides that, which was nice. We needed it. But yeah, this has been a really long episode as I went over all of my whips. So I'm going to end it here, but stay safe out there, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye!